What's going on, guys? My name is Skill87, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Resident Evil 6 for the PlayStation 3. Let this be known right now, this is my favorite Resident Evil game at the moment. I love it. But, as a fair and honest reviewer, I will not let my personal favoritism of the franchise affect my final score of the game. See, unlike other reviewers, I entered this game with an open mind. I knew it wasn't going to play like the older games. I knew Capcom had a new direction for the series. I knew that this game was supposed to be very cinematic, very action-packed, and very different. You see, unlike other reviewers, I'm not going to give the game an automatic 5 or 6 just because I missed the older games. You know, as a Resident Evil fan, do I miss the older games? Sure, I do. But, as a gamer, I can appreciate change if the change is good. And, as a reviewer, I will review this game to the best of my ability without letting my personal favoritism of the series affect my final score, because my job as a reviewer is to give you a review for games for what they are. This is my review for Resident Evil 6 for the PlayStation 3. So, what is the story? The story is really actually fucking awesome. If you're familiar with the Resident Evil 6 movies, you would realize that the movies are very Americanized in a sense, where it's just balls out action. And that's what Resident Evil 6 pretty much is. Granted, each campaign has its own, concentration of a certain Resident Evil style, i.e. Leon's campaign concentrates on slow-paced zombies, Chris's campaign concentrates on balls-to-the-wall action, such as Mercenaries mode, like kind of style gameplay. Jake's campaign concentrates heavily on story and adventure, in a sense, and Ada's campaign concentrates on what made Resident Evil popular in the first place, puzzles. Granted, Ada's campaign has a couple stealth segments that the game could have done without. I love the new direction Resident Evil's gone in. Resident Evil is trying to be... Capcom tried to present to us a supreme AAA game. And the biggest flaw of the game is that it was such a high-budget game, too many people worked on the game. This game tries to do a lot. It doesn't exactly do nothing bad, but it doesn't excel in nothing. This game does not excel in a single thing. It has a strong points, it has lots of weak points. And that was the biggest flaw of this game. This game is in no way deserving of the 3s, 4s, and 5s, and 6s it's getting. Because nothing it does is actually bad, it's just not as good as other games. Instead of concentrating on just a couple strong points, Capcom spread out the talent and tried to make one giant fucking cinematic adventure. And while the game is exciting and fun, it doesn't top other games, which ended up being this game's biggest flaw. So, this game spread out to 4 campaigns: Leon, Chris's, Jake, Mueller, and Ada Wong's. Each campaign presents something different to the table. When you play as Leon's campaign, you can expect lots of dark, creepy corridors, old school zombies, and shit like that. Chris's campaign, like I stated, very fast-paced balls to the wall. Jake Mueller's campaign, open world. There's actually like a lot of traveling exploration in this, and Ada Wong's kind of old school. Each campaign intertwines at some point, ultimately leading to all the characters gathering together and each fighting their own bosses. What's good about each campaign is each campaign's different, and eventually you meet up with each other, but then you'll each fight a different final boss. Each campaign is awesome, outstanding. So as far as stories goes, I can't knock the story. I like the fact that it's the first time Resident Evil, you're going to get different campaigns. Each campaign plays differently, something for each type of Resident Evil fan. So the story gets a thumbs up for me. Granted, the story could have been presented better, and the new arch enemy isn't as badass as Wesker. The way it's presented, especially in the Leon campaign, is epic as shit. And like I stated, very cinematic. So if you're into like watching cutscenes or just like, oh my fucking god, you're gonna enjoy Resident Evil. Let's talk about the controls. These are the best controls in the Resident Evil series once you get used to them. Similar to 4 and 5, you have the third-person perspective. New to the series is the ability to move at any angle you want. In Resident Evil 4, it introduced the back of the, you see the back of Leon, you move forward, but you kind of glide left and right. In Resident Evil 6, you can move in any direction at full speed. You can also jump, roll, and dodge now. And the melee system has been improved to the point where you even have stamina, so you can't abuse the melee system. I like this. The aiming system, the aiming mechanics remain the same, with the exception of the recoil being added, and a perk system, which some people seem to be annoyed about, and I can see why. It's not exactly Resident Evil, and I honestly believe that the game could have done without the perk system. At the end of each mission, at the end of each chapter, There's 5 chapters per campaign. At the end of each chapter, you're given the ability to spend points on perks such as, reduce recoil, more damage, more defense. And I felt that that was more of an attempt to appeal to the newer generation of gamers. And honestly, the series didn't even need that. Does it affect the gameplay really to the point where it's needed? No, because I honestly went through the entire campaign with added firepower, defense, and critical hit. And when I used other perks, I didn't really notice a fucking thing. So that was more like just added to just appeal to modern gamers. Does it take away from my score? No, because it doesn't really affect the game at all. So far the story and the controls are just fine. The sound effects are great too. The ambiance is very cinematic, especially when you get to Jake Mueller's campaign. Zombies sound great, and the voice acting is a mixture of cheesy, fun, and ooh. I really like the sound effects in this game. And I really dig the fact that in everyone's campaign, you'll eventually get to a part where you're fighting these weird, mutated fucking zombies that keep regenerating, and they sound creepy as shit. So, the sound gets good also. Remember, this is a high-budget game. You're going to expect a lot of good from me in this review. With sound effects, story, though a little confusing, and controls are great. Let's talk about the graphics. People talking about the graphics are a step down from Resident Evil 5. Yes, they are. You see, a lot of people don't seem to understand this. When a game has more detail, such as dismemberment, and all types of, different body parts falling over the place, the graphics have to be sacrificed. Same thing happened in Call of Duty. I use Call of Duty as an example. The character models in Call of Duty Modern Warfare are all one model. Like you look at a character, it's one model. Even though he has a vest on, the gun, everything is one model in motion. Therefore, more detail can put into one model. The zombies and the clothing of the characters are several models. Therefore, more detail in terms of animation was put into the models. Therefore, the graphics engine kind of gets decreased in favor of animations. The zombies have never, ever moved more realistically in this game. It is great. New to the series are zombies that fucking jump at you, lash at you, run at you. When you play Leon's campaign, you will think you are facing the same zombies in Dawn of the Dead. These motherfuckers chase you. They grab you. They trip you. It is fucking fantastic. When you play against the zombies in Chris's and Jake's campaign, they take cover. They jump after you. When you get further into Chris's campaign, they have weapons. And when they die, they transform into straight fucking monstrosities. In Leon's campaign, shoot them in the head, their heads literally just fall off. Like the dismemberment in this game, I love it. I was bugging the fuck out, my boy, when we were playing on PSN, and how the zombies would just straight die. And the arms would come off, or they would just fall to their death. And it just looked so realistic and satisfying to kill these fucking zombies. I was digging it totally. So, zombies are actually very good in this game. What I don't like about the zombies is that when you're fighting the zombies with guns, they just seem to have this immaculate aim that just annoys the shit out of me sometimes. It's like, you see the bullets not even hitting you, and you're still getting hit. So I'm like, okay, cool story, bro. But other than that, I found nothing wrong with the zombies or the AI in this game. Especially when the zombies transform as you progress deep into the story. There's another thing people need to understand. The people complain about Chris's campaign, the zombies with guns. You have to follow the storyline. The game was eventually going to turn into this. The zombies are a result of a failed experiment. The whole concept of Umbrella was to create super soldiers. And you fight these super soldiers in Chris's campaign. It is fucking awesome. Fighting these superhuman zombies that transform into monstrosities once killed. And remember Resident Evil 4, how you shoot their heads off and then they would turn to bugs and shit? Multiply that by 10. Or 20. There are so many variations to the different types of monstrosities you will fight when you kill these super soldiers. From turning into shit that will one-hit KO you, to bugs that walk on fucking walls. It is crazy. Like, when you play Chris's campaign, you're gonna be on your mic, oh shit, we're fucking surrounded by, what the shit is that? Are you fucking serious? What the, it won't die. Like, it's great. I was bugging the fuck out playing Chris's campaign. Why? Because unlike the typical Resident Evil fans who want every fucking Resident Evil to be slow-paced and bullshit and boring, you forget to realize that, the game is going to evolve into this. It was bound to happen. Follow the storyline. They were eventually going to turn Resident Evil into what it was meant to be from the beginning. A war on bioterrorism. And honestly, to me, they succeeded. So, I've been praising the game. What sucks about the game? Quite a few things. I'm about to eat my words. I stated that the guy in GameSpot stated that there's too many QuickTime events. My issue with the QuickTime events is just a couple. One, you get these QuickTime events that revolve around alternating pressing L1 and R1, and the game does an extremely horrible job at explaining to you that you have to hold one button while pressing the other button. I died like 10 times straight trying to figure that shit out. Also, too many times the camera will interfere with the gameplay, and then you get tripped by a zombie. Then you have to enter a minigame to get off the zombie. Then you get tripped again because you can't fucking see your character. Quite a few times this game has camera issues. Granted, they're not horrendous, but they exist. So the camera issues will interfere with your gameplay to the point, and then you always gotta get yourself in a QuickTime event to get yourself out of these situations. So that can become annoying at some points. Another thing is, a lot of people complained about, item management in this game. I felt that in this game, you're not given enough space in your character inventory, similar to Resident Evil 1 and 2. So, even though the game gives you lots of weapons, you have to kind of just choose which ones you want to keep stocked up in ammunition. Because ammunition, unless you have a specific perk equipped, is not generous in this game. And, weird, this was taken away from Resident Evil. It's always been a tradition of Resident Evil to, in a sense, equip what you want. Gone is the chest or the safe house concept. And in every campaign, you're told what you're going to get as far as weapons concerned. Like, when you play a Suggestive campaign, you're told you're going to get this weapon. You're told you're going to get that weapon. You play a Jake's campaign or Leon's campaign, you're told you're going to get this. Granted, the weapons you get are cool. Gone is the freedom of being able to use what you want. And gone is the upgrade system for Resident Evil 4 and 5. You don't upgrade your weapons no more. Until, of course, you play the game to a certain point. But that's besides the point. I liked it when you just had the freedom of choosing and playing with what you wanted. Gone is that freedom. So in a sense, the game kind of dictates to you what you're going to use, how you're going to use it, and when you're going to use it. Another thing I actually didn't like is the fact that sometimes your AI partner is just fucking stupid. Like, this was a problem in Resident Evil 5 where Sheva would just stand in front of you and you would shoot her, or she would just shoot you by accident. And what happened in this game is your AI partner is like retarded. And it retarded and it helps out. Sometimes your AI partner gets fucking like stuck in a corner and she keeps getting attacked by zombies. And you get to pick off the zombies one by one, sure, but then it kind of takes away from the fact that your AI partner's supposed to be smart. And then it's like your AI partner's a human living tank, it doesn't die. So I was like, okay, that's cool, I get to kill the zombies, but the AI partner is kind of stupid. I'd rather play the game with a partner. So, another thing, this game has a lot of events, quite a few events that revolve around driving. And I was like, really? Cinematic experience, cool, but if you're going to add events like that, remember Metal Gear Solid 4, he added the bike scene? It was actually well done. In in Resident Evil 5, it's not well done. There's a scene where you're driving a Jeep and a scene where you're driving a bike. And both those scenes sucked fucking ass. Seriously, they fucking sucked. I was like, oh my god, Capcom. If you're going to add vehicle scenes, can you get people to make sure the vehicles respond when you fucking turn? Like, I was so frustrated playing the bike scene and the fucking, the Jeep scene. Granted, there was explosions everywhere, and it added to the story, and it actually fit the story because you're chasing a certain someone. It was just so horribly presented. I was just like, dude, the fuck? The final boss for these games are great, especially Jake Mueller's final boss. I felt that it was such an exciting tribute to Albert Wesker. For those who are unaware, Jake Mueller is Albert Wesker's son. And he is, in a sense, the main character of Resident Evil 6, if you follow all the campaigns. And he is the key to salvation, which is explained in all the trailers. He fights just like his father. If you want, you can go balls to the wall and combo the living shit out of your enemies. From tripping them to one-shotting them to making them explode with his Wesker's trademark palm strike. It's fucking great. Jake Mueller's campaign is the least action-packed, but it has the most interesting events in my opinion. So, Resident Evil 6 is a great game, and I'm trying to figure out what people are hating on the game for, because I played the game and I did my best to look for things that were negative. I sat there and I said, I will present my fans with a review and I'll be honest. And I sat there looking for everything I could wrong. I sat there. I was like, well, come on, give me something wrong with the game. And all I can give you guys is the camera sucks sometimes. Okay. Sometimes QuickTime events do get annoying. a couple of scenes could have done without. The freedom of guns and selection was taken away, and a couple of other things. But the game is good, and I feel that Capcom really stepped up to the game. They wanted the game to be exciting, but what happened was too many people worked in the game, and that ultimately led up to the campaigns being different paced. I will not lie, I favored Leon campaign the most, Jake's campaign the second, and Chris's campaign the least. Chris's campaign was action-packed, but there was just something about it I just didn't agree with. Ada's campaign's great, but I'm not going to spoil it because that's the one you're supposed to unlock, but it revolves a lot around puzzles. I believe if Capcom had a smaller team, not 600 fucking people, the director of the franchise, excuse me, of the game itself, could have done a better job, would have been able to do a better job of monitoring the game. You can't sit there and tell me one director is going to monitor a fucking 600-man staff. That was this game's biggest flaw. Like I said, the game is very ambitious. It does a lot. It's very exciting, the game, but it excels in nothing. And as a true Resident Evil fan, I felt that I gave you guys the best review I could possibly give you. I was honest, and here's my final score. Oh yeah, I forgot to add one thing. Resident Evil Mercenaries is back. Same concept as the older games. And Agent Hunt mode is pretty fucking cool. Same concept as Demon's Souls and Dark Souls. You get to choose to invade people's games as a zombie and try to kill them and game over them. Or you can allow it to happen in your game. You can turn the option on and off, where you allow other players to invade your game. And then sometimes, if you click random join game, you'll sometimes play the chapters where all the characters unite, and you'll have several good guys in your one chapter. Pretty cool concept. But like I said, this was my fair and honest review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I was unbiased as humanly possible. Here's my final score. I'm about to mindfuck you all. This is my favorite Resident Evil game. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for this game. Capcom in Resident Evil 7, if Resident Evil 7 is actually going to happen, please, smaller team. And if you want to concentrate on being big and cinematic, make sure you do it right. You don't need to be as cinematic as other games as Gears of War and Uncharted. Gears of War concentrated on its strong points. Uncharted concentrated on its strong points. Halo concentrates on its strong points. God of War concentrates on its strong points. Take notes from other AAA games. It's good to try to be popular and shine like other games, but realize that all those other games shine and get 9s and 10s because they concentrate on what makes those games those games. There's nothing wrong with expanding what your series is. There's nothing wrong with trying to make the game something different and make it newer and fresher for the new audience. But don't concentrate on trying to build some amazing experience and then nothing actually excels, which basically hurt the final score for this game. 7 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. I'll catch you guys next video. And, tell me your friends to subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up button, and peace.